Hey everyone, I'm Jaxby and you're watching Tech with Jaxby. So you're looking at getting yourself a new keyboard and you're going, oh, what should I get, what should I get? And what if I could tell you that you could build your own without needing to have any form of soldering skills? And also, if you are going to be looking at building your own keyboard and you want RGB, specifically if you want RGB, do watch till partway through. I'm going to mention a couple of things that I should have, one, paid attention to, but I did pay attention to. Keep watching. So, I have actually just finished building my first DIY keyboard. And I had a lot of fun doing it. But part of the reason why I built my own is because it's going to be so much easier to repair. And well, the number 4 key in the number row of my Razer Black Widow was dying. So let's have a look at my keyboard. So here's my keyboard. It is a drop control, high profile. I've got Gateron blacks. I'm trying to take the keycap off. No, not Gateron blacks. There we go. Keycaps are Gateron browns, which are tactile but not too noisy. And the keys that I picked are HyperX white pudding keycaps. So basically, RGB is supposed to show through here, but more on that later. One thing good about this particular case is everything case related is basically included. So the PCB, the case, I don't know if it has foam or anything for sounds dampening. The top panel of the case acts as a plate, so it does take plate mounted switches, but more importantly, the switches are hot swappable. So when I say hot swappable, it does mean that you don't need to solder anything. You do need to be a little bit careful putting them in. You've got to make sure they go in as fast as possible. But when you push the switch in, there's a little socket behind the PCB that everything will just go into, no soldering required, and it will just work. Part of why I've done this is because, well, I want a keyboard that I can repair. I'm massive into rights to repair, and basically if I can fix something, I will. So doing this is expensive in the long run, but considering that my Razer Black Widow costed about $200, and this here has costed me about $350 to $400 Australian. I don't think that's including postage though. That if a switch dies and I can just replace it. Things to keep an eye out. If you're wanting to basically have a keyboard that you can repair that is already made, Glorious make a few keyboards that have hot swappable sockets, but the whole keyboard is already made. Okay, Keychron does as well. They make keyboards that are fully populated with switches and keycaps and are hot swappable. And there is a Logitech keyboard that also is the same. The Logitech keyboard uses Logitech's own switches, but I believe they are, cherry form factor. It's in the style of a cherry switch, meaning that you can take those switches out and put in whatever switches you want. But the one thing with that keyboard is that the bottom row is of a non-standard layout. So if you were to change the key caps, you're not going to be able to change that bottom row very easily. Which is something you also need to check with other keyboards to see if every row is of a standard layout, so that you can very simply put in whatever keycaps you want. So to the thing that I should have paid attention to was when I was picking my switches, because I had RGB in mind. Clearly I got put in keycaps. I had RGB in mind, but as you could see, the RGB wasn't shining through very well. It doesn't shine through the face of the keycaps that are closest to me, or the side of the keycaps that are closest to me. It will shine, the RGB will go through the legends and the top half of the keycap. The reason is because Well, let's face it, I was an idiot. I wanted RGB and I did not get switches that support RGB all too greatly. So that would be my thing, is if you're looking for RGB, get switches that support it. I would actually highly recommend anyone looking at getting a new keyboard to consider, just to consider making their own. Again, the benefits are, if the switch dies, you can replace it. You don't have to go buy a whole new keyboard just because a very much needed switch, let's say, I don't know, the W key dies, or in my case. But number 4 in the home row, when you're trying to do your family's financing and budgeting so that, I don't know, you know what you can spend each month and what you're saving each month, and well, number 4 key has the dollar sign. That was my problem. Anyway, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below what keyboard you have and if you would actually consider building your own keyboard. Anyway, see ya.